Hello, so welcome to my Japanuary event where I talk about my experiences traveling to Japan for the first time. In one of my last videos, I talked about things to know before traveling to Japan, where I talked about a lack of benches and trash cans as a sort of citywide criticism, more specifically of urban areas in and around Tokyo, and how those factors weren't very tourist friendly. But in this video, I wanted to bring up a couple more things that were more specific to my experience. Things that I found to be an inconvenience and would have liked to know beforehand so I could prepare, but there are also things that aren't detrimental, or I think that every person who goes to Japan needs to be aware of, like there being no trash cans or benches and needing to bring nice shoes. So all of that's to say, I got really hecked up by the air quality in Japan. And actually, no, I don't think that had much to do with the general air quality, but that certainly could have been a contributing factor. On days when we'd go out and the air would be foggier or there was an air quality advisory in the area, there would be an increase in people wearing masks on the streets, but I personally never really noticed a difference while outside in the open air. If anything, being outside was much better for me. Anyway, to get into the story time, as soon as I landed in Japan, I had a dry throat, which would be no big deal, but that simple dry throat escalated over the next week. I always wore my mask in enclosed or busy public spaces. It's not like I couldn't have caught something. I'm from a less populated area, and suddenly being around so many other humans, I pretty much expected to get sick. Whether it was spurred by a small cold at the start, from the flight, or the urbanness of the area, would only be, like I said, the start of the problem. My throat got drier and drier every day. I was hawking up loogies. Breathing would tickle my throat, and I'd get thrown into coughing fits so bad that I was gasping for breath and couldn't sleep because my throat would wake me up. And I know for a fact that it wasn't just a cold, it was the air. I was breathing dry air all day, and it was exasperating whatever that initial small problem was. The subways were being pumped full of hot air from the shifting season, the malls and buildings had AC units running and no natural airflow. The hotel that we stayed in Tokyo, our room's window wouldn't open. I was in a box full of dry, filtered air all day and all night, and I was ripping my throat out coughing so bad that I almost completely lost my voice just from the sheer physical nature of ripping my vocal box out. If I was sick at any point of that, it wasn't what caused me to go practically mute. The fact that my throat couldn't heal itself because of the dry air was. I took to wearing a mask while I was sleeping, so the air that I was directly in contact with was warm and moist, and I could actually manage to sleep some. And that's how I've made this conclusion overall, but whether you agree with my assessment of how my throat got so bad, I do think that it's worth mentioning to anyone that already has nasal or throat problems. The air in Japan, not just outside, but the lack of free-flowing air inside, might be a problem for you. And going off of my throat problems, I learned one more thing that might be relevant to some other people. Medicine is not a casual pickup item that you can get at a conveni. I know, funny, right? You can get a cheap liter of gin at the convenience store, but not cough syrup. Same goes for Tylenol and the like. You'll have to find a genuine pharmacy if you want any medicine. Pharmacies weren't really that hard to find, it's just something that was unexpected compared to everything else that you can get at a conveni. Also, lastly, because I'm not sure what other video to tack this onto, but Japan doesn't do deodorant. I didn't pack any amenities for my trip, assuming that I could get everything that I needed when I got there, but I couldn't find any deodorant. Not at the conveni, not at the pharmacy, not at the Don Quixote superstore. It seems as though Japanese people prefer cooling sprays and other products to keep them cool, rather than slapping on some good old pit stick. So if you prefer deodorant, make sure that you bring your own. Those are some of my more personalized words of advice. 1, if you're prone to sinus issues, you might want to procure a humidifier to counteract the quality of air in Japan. 2, if you need medicine, you have to go to a legitimate pharmacy over a conveni. And 3, bring your own deodorant if that's your preference. Thanks for watching. I hope some of these videos have been useful to people hoping to go to Japan someday, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.